Yeah, that's smart because I know we have been starting with some questions, but I'm already changing up just for a week, though. Just 1 week because I'm calling for an ISO. I'm sitting here dribbling and I'm calling for an ISO. I need space. Arsenal. Yeah, I'm coming for you. Y'all are the annoying kids who used to put like hot water in the water guns growing up around the neighborhood. I don't know if y'all did like water gun fights, but there was always just like the one annoying kid who would put like hot water or like hot sauce or some just like bullshit thing in there just to like one up somebody. Y'all tried to start a pissing contest with Manchester City when you know your asses have some like enlarged prostate. You know, it takes a bit for the buildup, for some steam, for the stream. Pep responded with, "You want war? We have war." It's something we've heard all our lives. I mean, I guess you guys haven't because the way you guys have been acting from that. Don't start no stuff, won't be no stuff. Because if you don't give a damn, we don't give a fuck.
Gabriel said perfectly in the press conference, so after the match, so this is a war. We have here to provoke the opponent, to push them, and at the end, what can you do? So we have to, okay, you provoke me, okay, I'm there. You want a war? Now we war. So what have to do? And after the motions are the motions. So I'm pretty sure he's not proud, but listen, the type of challenge that Arsenal challenges, I understand it.
I know he's not proud of it. The emotions are the emotions. The heat was too hot for Arteta. Hated how people gave them shit for parking the bus. Shamed them for their time-wasting antics. Guess what Arteta did? Mans pointed back at City and went, "What about them?"
So Arteta said, I think the other day, he was here for 4 years. He has information about how basically Manchester City maybe do the same kind of fouls and time wasting and everything that Arsenal did against your team. So what do you think about that? Because he's your friend, he was your assistant. Seems a little bit of a betrayal of, I don't know, trust or information.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
What did he say specifically?
I was there for 4 years.
Yeah, you're right.
Pep is hurt.
And?
Well, it was to a question about his tactics and the time wasting, the sort of fouls. The implication was, he didn't actually say these words, but the implication was, yeah, I've been there for 4 years and, you know, I know what goes on there. The same.
Well, next time Miguel has to be more clear. But he said he was here for years and we know exactly what happened here. So because can be related in, you know, in all the process now with 155 charges. Maybe it's about that. He know the information about that maybe, or maybe had something like, I don't know, because really next time I have to see more clear.
Be more clear. I know Pep and Arteta are friends, but does this sound like a friendly relationship? Pep even tried to shoot him Bell at first. Did you hear him? Did he say that? We saw Arsenal's board members ignore the post-match handshake with Khaldoon, yet we are the ones rattled. Arteta tried to dry snitch. Man's is pillow talking. You need to talk with your chest, baby boy. 4 years away. Sure, that's 4 years without a title has obviously made you a little bitter. It's okay. Hate us because you ain't us.
Because this is the challenge, you know. At the end, the team needs this type of challenge. The opponents get, I said the last press conference, so we don't expect everything will be smooth and comfortable and easy for everyone. There is no team that won more beaten than us here in England, so we felt it, we smell it, that again, City, they don't like them, you know, at all. So we respect that.
They don't like them at all. We making art over here. Capitalize that. Gotta cut the intro because I don't know where it is. There we go. Oh.
hate the most is when you don't want the ball. I hate it. You have permission to make a mistake. You have permission to lose. You have permission.
And that's when we get big.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
Attack everyone and send everyone.
I think we're forgetting the most important thing. We're forgetting about focusing just on ourselves.
But we can do better. We need to take the next step, and there's no better place than taking the next step here.
Show ourselves out there how much we want to win it again.
We win 4 of the last 5 Premier League, guys. 4 of the last 5 Premier League. Are we going to do it again?
Don't ask me again about doubles, triples, quadruples, fifth-tuples, six-tuples, and seven-tuples. So,
Don't do it. Hey, and welcome to episode 110 of Shades of Blue.
World's famous.
We are the most comprehensive show about Manchester City, covering both the men's and women's game, spanning both sides of the Mason-Dixon line. We making art over here, capitalize the A. I am Crunk Chocolate, and I am here with my most dope show bros, Tarek, Sharpie Charlie. How's it going? How you doing? How you feeling?
What's up, fellas?
It's a great Sunday, man. It's a beautiful Sunday. Great intro as always. Excited to talk some City.
Let's go. Before we get into anything at all, what I need for you to do right now while I'm talking, rate, review. You're basically right there at our page because you hit play to listen. So rate us 5 stars. Give us a review. Say some nice words. We appreciate it. It bumps us, pushes us to fellow footy and Man City supporters. We appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you just bumped onto us by crazy happenstance, make sure you subscribe. We have tons of content. Check us out. We appreciate all of y'all. In today's episode, tons of matches still played by City men and women for us to cover. The men had a Carabao against Watford and a league match against Newcastle. In our Baby Blue Baddies segment, we discussed City women who had the second leg of the UWCL qualifier against Paris FC and welcomed Brighton to the Joy Stadium in WSL action. Shock, awe, and applause is where we send some love, hate, or indifference to another club. And of course, we'll take a look at another stacked week of games for Manchester City Football Club. All right, let's get into it. If you were wondering who the captains are, obviously it is Walker and
vice-captain Kevin, Ruben Rodri, Bernardo Gundo.
6. They just had a Fagundo in there. Welcome back, baby. We love you. Unless
Gundo got that honorary. Like, hey, you here, Gundo? You come back into the fray. Just in case everybody's off the pitch.
Like in some crazy happenstance, the random Carabao Cup.
Exactly.
They looked around and they said, well, you know what? There's only one person here who's actually lifted a Champions League trophy after we won it. So we got to put him on the list somewhere. Everybody else got their chance to, lift it up and take pictures, but there was only one person who was actually the captain and got to raise it. So got to put that man on the list, even if he's at the bottom for now.
And it kind of worries me because it's like, unless Rico can take over the whole midfielder role, I don't really see how Walker can be replaced by Rico when he's the captain. So it's just interesting and unfortunate. All right, starting 11 was Ortega, the cupkeeper, Walker, Stones, 16-year-old Braithwaite. There is no H in there. Braithwaite. Rico Lewis, Nico O'Reilly, Doku, McAtee, Nunes, Grealish, and Foden up top. Yes. What are your thoughts for the lineup? But there's no real reason to stay on this match for too long. Early goals from Doku and Nunes, two players who needed a goal. It was Nunes' first goal as a City player, actually. Late goal by Watford ruined the clean sheet, but the match was never in doubt. 73% possession by City, 19 more shots, 7 more shots on target, 469 more passes. Hell, Watford had one corner the entire match. What was your biggest takeaway from the match?
A couple things. You talked about the Nunez goal, so of course that's a big one because, again, I don't know what that man needs to do to be able to play. So I was glad he got his chance. But the reverse of that, though, is no disrespect, but because he played well, 16-year-old Caden Braithwaite played well, but I was surprised to see him over Josh Wilson-Esperan, to be honest with you. And if Esperan can't play in that match when there's really nothing really on the line, we're playing a almost completely changed lineup. If he can't play then, I just don't know when that man's going to play. And so then if he's not going to play, it makes, well, why did we keep him around? Makes that a little bit more difficult to understand to me. But again, kudos to the kid, 16 years old, academy player, played well, held his own. Kudos to him.
For me, always really cool when you see, I believe, 5, City Academy projects on the pitch in the starting 11. That's really dope.
Yeah.
I was happy to see Foden start and get some minutes. This has been one of the most interesting, I'll say, injury situations or whatever situations, because we don't know, right? Like, they have not come out with statements and say, hey, this happened. And so it's like rumors and things, people saying stuff, but it was nice to see him get to start. And yeah, those early goals were clutch to just kind of calm everything down. I didn't think we would run riot, right? But we had a bunch of chances in the second half. And it's like the typical thing where it's like, oh, we had all these chances, none could go in, and now they get one back, and now we just, hold on and see it out. So seeing it out is great. I think Pep made, 3 subs, or 1.5, swapped his wingers, and then brought on Jacob Wright, which was nice, and Josko in the last 25 minutes. So job done. Just happy that we get to see Spurs at the end of the month.
I don't have the clip about Nunes. He was asked about him. What Pep said was he still has, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, he still has to work on his decision making on the ball, but he is fantastic in transitions and in open space.
Yeah, that's a skill set. I feel like and the thing is, he knows that, like, there are going to be certain matches. Most matches won't allow the transition game, but the cup matches are, because you got to go for the win, right? So it's like a perfect scenario. And I even think about when we get into FA Cup, right? Like, he is a great cup player, but when you're trying to break down the low block, of course you're going to prefer Gundo or Foden or whoever else over him, right? Or Bernardo. Like, that's just the hierarchy. But I think he's a valuable piece to the team because we know we're going to have injuries, and we're going to start having games literally every 3 days after these international breaks. So I love what he brings to the club.
Facts. Yeah. Anything else from that match on Watford?
Nah, I'm going to stay here.
Cool. I have naturally just a little tip on it. Pep it a little real on the Carabao.
I would say the next round is going to play the players. I announce you now. They play the less minutes or the second team. We are not going to waste energy for this competition for sure. So I don't know what's going to happen. If I have a lot of injuries, going to play the second team. And you have players that have all squad ready. It's a good competition to take the rhythm. That's for sure.
Inspired by Pep's honesty, and I'll be honest, all the people saying we should scrap the Carabao Cup are selfish and drinking the big cartel Kool-Aid. Sure, you may not rate the Carabao and say it's the I don't care about cup. We're with that. But teams
Hey, don't
that
be pointing fingers over here.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm actually talking about.
I'm just kidding because I called it the I don't care about.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like we can call it the I don't care about. I enjoy that, but we're not saying scrap it. We're just saying, hey, it exists. It's a thing. Cool, good for it. But there are people who are like, we should just get rid of it. Who cares about it? And there are still teams in this competition: Preston, Leicester City, Southampton, Stoke City, Sheffield Wednesday would love to lift the Carabao Cup. It would be Tottenham's first trophy. The amount of times Ten Hag has mentioned the FA Cup, I know he'd be obnoxious if he managed to scam a Carabao. Do like Pep.
Except remember, he did though.
I know. Well, double down. Like he needs a bad.
Yeah.
Like if he managed to somehow still be around until the Carabao, I know it ends early in the end of the season, but that would be fantastic. That's best case scenario for me as a City fan for United. But do like Pep. Except we have to put out a weekend side, show the competition some love, but don't take the results to heart. You know, this is what it is. All right, Newcastle.
You have and go through with what we have, and this is the challenge. So it's nice. So always happen in the problems. This is a big one. Okay. What do you have to do? I'm so sorry. It's a pity. Absolutely not. Let's go. What do we have? What happens to have? Go to Newcastle to try to win the game and do what we have been for many years. It's what it is. So it's simple as that.
Simple as that. We lose our people. We move on. He mentioned last year, we lost Holland. We lost KDB. Look where we were. We still won the league. We just got to do what we got to do. All right. So 1-1 draw against Newcastle. And it's this match. We knew it was going to be frustrating. We knew it was going to be difficult. Most of us were basically okay with scrapping a draw, obviously hopeful for a win, but if a draw happened, we weren't going to be upset about it. Starting 11, Ederson, Bardial, Akanji, Diaz, Walker, Kovacic, Lewis, Gundogan, then Grealish, Silva, and Haaland up top. You all know how I feel about Bernardo as right wing. So once I saw that, I was like, we're not in a great position. I wasn't worried about Rico in midfield because it's Rico. We've kind of seen him do his midfielder thing when he steps up. I know that's not necessarily, it's a little different now that he is a midfielder than playing someone who is like an extra midfielder. But I wasn't really too worried about it. Yeah, Sharpie, what were your thoughts on the starting 11?
First thing I saw was obviously no Savinho, no Daku, and I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh, we play Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is definitely a lineup with an eye towards the Champions League, right? We want to make sure we get 3 points after that first draw against Inter. So I was like, yeah, he's going to play his wingers in the Champions League when he needs the points. And this is a lineup that should be able to get a result, right? Get a result. No KDB starting, no Foden back. Obviously, Rodgers gone, so I'm not going to mention that anymore. So it's like, hey, we have enough to get by. And that's what I thought. What you think, Terry, when you saw the lineup?
So you looked at that and saw, oh, there's no Savio, there's no Doku, so therefore it must be him trying to save them for the midweek match. And I guess that's one way to look at it. I looked at it as it was a, you buy Tylenol or whatever, and it's like extra strength Excedrin or whatever. This was like the extra strength control lineup. I don't want to lose the ball ever, so I'm going to put Lewis, who I know is good in tight spaces. I'm going to put Kova. I'm going to put Gundo. I'm going to put Grealish. I'm going to put Silva. All of them great on the ball, but if I'm being honest, lacking in creativity. And so to me, it was a choice by Pep that we're just going to control as opposed to trying to create and or take the game to Newcastle. So to be honest, I was disappointed in the lineup because again, like you, there's no Savio, Bernardo on that right wing. It's just not something that we were all hoping not to see this year at all. Of course, we know it's going to happen because he's going to get Bernardo on the pitch, but it just wasn't what I was hoping to see. Of course, still no Foden, and playing both Rico and Kyle was not something that I would have expected coming into the match, but it is what it is. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
This match was incredibly frustrating, very physical from the jump from Newcastle. Just thuggeryism, hooliganism. They were just kind of the worst.
To that point, so we don't need to read their whole lineup, but their midfield they're monsters. You had Joe Linton, Bruno Girsmars, and Tonali, right? And this is the first match I've ever seen and said, "Oh, Rico Lewis is small."
Mm-hmm.
Like he looked small on the pitch. Like you missed the ability to win those aerial duels. Great on the ground, but giving you nothing when it comes to like bodying a man when you got grown as men, all 5'10" or bigger, or just large people, and you're trying to get around them or whatever. You could see it now. Does he still have abilities, of course, and he's great in tight spaces and can move the ball, but there were some duels where it's like, oh yeah, you just aren't big enough. And it's not your fault. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was one of those things where like we couldn't be our normal selves because we couldn't dominate the midfield. Because one of our midfielders is 5'7",
5'8". Before we stay in the match, this early match, oh my gosh. All of these games, it feel like it doesn't really matter who the team is. If they have that 12:30 kickoff, the fans aren't up for it. The players don't seem up for it. It's uncomfortable all around. I tweeted that it feels like a Thursday night NFL game.
But that's why Klopp used to complain about it, especially coming out of a international break. He hated to have that early match. And yeah, I think you're right that there's a different feel to it, and so we're gonna have to learn to, capitalize on those moments, regardless.
Yeah, there was a moment in the match where Bernardo, they were kind of trying to start a counter, and Bernardo was on the left side of the pitch, like further left than Grealish. Grealish was more inside center than Bernardo as a right winger. He was all the way on the left side. I as a not as a tactico, I have no idea what they were doing, and obviously it's like overload, etc. Blah blah blah, blah help. I don't know. I just saw that and my brain exploded. I know he's going to be an extra midfielder, but it's like now you're playing left wing back as a right winger. Like, what is happening? What is going on? What are we supposed to score like this? It's just so frustrating.
I will say one of the tactical things that was interesting is that like right away you saw Kanji get pushed up to play beside Koba, which allowed kind of those double eights of Gundo and Rico. So it's like, even though I think like One Football had as a 4-2-3-1, we basically played the same 3-2-4-1 most of the match. Mm-hmm. And obviously as we get to the goal, right, Yasko being on that left side doing what he does, he is so good. And he looks so much older, but he's only 22. It's crazy. Like, he has a very old bearded face, and you're just a child or a young adult. But I like Akanji's play in the midfield. I thought it was like the right mix of, hey, I'm going to make some chances. I'm obviously not going to be too aggressive because again, the instructions clearly were not to lose the ball. And he's gotten better, right? He's grown into the role. So I think having that added some size to the midfield, right? Even though Rico was tiny up top, it definitely added some breadth in the midfield. So I was very very happy with Akanji's performance, even though he was, I believe, at fault for the last moment and the controversial moment, I should say.
Yes. Grealish injured again. He took some gnarly tackles, some like crazy tackles in this match. Ederson in the back heel. And Pep's reaction just
top 3 moment of the match. That was incredible, bro. It was a perfect pass. Like, it actually was great, and nobody was like excited for it. I loved it.
at
What else are you
all.
supposed to do?
Like seriously,
It was not great. It was.
It was great. Why isn't it great?
It was
perfectly
ridiculous,
done.
dude.
It wasn't, because what was the other option? He was getting pressured. He saw his man to the right. He said, "I can't turn and do it. Let me just."
It is
put my
utterly
heel back."
ridiculous. He pulled it off, but I don't think,
It was
like, if you
beautiful.
go back and look at it, it wasn't a perfect back heel, but we'll take it. It gets him out of trouble. We move and whatever. But my only issue, and again, it's like with everything, there's always a risk, right? If that ball gets, it doesn't get where it's supposed to go, then then we're looking at, oh my God, we're crucifying this man because he tried some audacious pass when maybe a simple pass could have worked. I don't know, but he's always been a risk taker. He typically, I'll say 90% of the time, pulls it off. It's not a big deal. But yeah, in that moment, I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
No, Rodri.
Me and Tom were loving it.
Right? He had to step up, man. He's like, you came for a show. Are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quick word on Grealish, though.
Yeah.
Man of the match performance, bro.
Yeah.
Grealish did so much work. So many chances created. There's like a stat that somebody put out. I think Squawka was like, he's the first player since himself in 2020 to like have like 5 duels, 5 take-ons, and like 5 chances created. Something crazy. Like, he was going to work on the left wing. You wish we could have finished a couple more chances, right, that he created, but that's all you want to see is like someone that is, hey, this is my moment. I'm clearly the creator on the pitch, right? Around the other midfielders, it is my job to make things happen. He did. We got to say it. The first match where Haaland was, shut out, but that's okay. He still has 10 and 6. And it wasn't like he got close on a couple headers, some half chances, nothing where it was like, oh, terrible miss. And credit to Newcastle, right? They made it a sloppy game. They didn't want to give us freedom, which I don't blame them. And Gundo played the worst first half of his career. So like all these things happened, and somehow we were still up at halftime. So it's just like, well, I'll take it. Hey, 1-0 it was great, and I thought we were gonna be able to add a second as we went into the second half.
And
I was expecting that ball from Gundo to Haaland. And he tried to chip the keeper. I was like, oh my God, that was tough viewing in the moment.
It was a bad match. It was like, I think he got a 4 his rating on OneFootball was so bad. He got like a 4.0. And that is so hard to do, bro. I'm sorry. He got a 4.1. And by comparison, the next lowest player on Man City was a 5.8. Now, Newcastle had 3 players under 5, whatever. It's a whole different team. But a 4.1 from your starting 10 is hilarious. It was so bad. And people like, I don't call for players' heads anymore. I'm just like, it's one bad day. We know what Gundo's quality is. He was just off of it. And I think every player is allowed to have a bad match, right? Like, if this happens 4 matches in a row, we got a problem. But I hope that's his like bogey match, and he comes back whenever he's on the pitch next and does what he normally does and passes the ball to Haaland. Just try it. Just do it, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. And what were you gonna say, Derek?
No, it's always interesting when I look at like different sites and to see the ratings, because I'm looking at 5 Mile, right? And they gave him a 7.5. And I'm like, how? Where? In what world? Was it house?
What the hell were they watching, bro? I can't trust it. I can't trust you anymore.
Like, literally
yes.
his 7.5 was only bettered. Well, I guess Walker got a 7.6, Kova 7.8, Vardiol 8.2, and Grealish 8.3. But I'm like, what am I watching? How did I, whatever. But you talked about him getting a 4. You guys know I go on with LB. Before we went on Saturday, he had done his match rating video, and I think you said he gave him a 3. So it just goes to show how he felt about it.
It was below a 5. It was subpar. Like his average should be like a 6.5. He's just a 7 out of 10 player, right? That's what you think of. And I think like the mistakes at the times they were happening, losing possession, not passing the ball here, scuffing the shot. Because even if you take the shot and miss it, at least it's a shot on goal. We get the idea. But to scuff it, the one in the box where he ran onto it and he just, just didn't come off. It was just so many things. It was like you're taking away possession. You're taking away an opportunity to score. And again, I love Gundo. I want the 19 shirt because I think it's special. I do want it in my collection. But like, it was just a bad match. And hey, it happened. And thank God Kevin De Bruyne is coming back soon. So hey, we're okay. We're okay.
And you triggered the soundbite that I'm going to play whenever someone mentions somebody. This is Pep on Gunda.
He didn't make a preseason, and he needs to, to the rhythm, but he give you something also special, but of course, he would take it.
Give him some time, people. Give him some time. The goal, JG to JG, Jack Grealish, Josko Vardiol, Gavarda goal. Oh my gosh. They basically mimicked each other. They just did the mirror. Grealish received the ball, popped the ball up, which made Trippier think he could like poke the ball away. Whoop, a little cut, burned him. Trippier just jogged the entire time. He just watched. He knew he was out. Grealish does his thing, pulls out a defender, lays it off to Josko, who same thing. It wasn't as slick or as smooth as Vardiol or as Grealish, but it looked great. And to just like snatch at that goal, ball just rounded around the keeper. It was beautiful. I was excited. Zinedine, Gavarda Zidane, however you want to call him, whatever you want to call him, he's a genius. Eternally thankful. I loved seeing all of the posts about who he has more goals than in the last year, just like all the wingers he has more goals than. Shout out to him. He set the pace, and I don't know why it made me more hopeful that we were going to score 2-3 goals. I don't know, but hey, we had the lead. That was what had me happy in that moment. Thoughts on the goal? No.
I got you. You said everything about the buildup. I think the fact that he's like a real threat when you're playing a low block is really important because it's just another person that the defense has to worry about. And like we all think about the other defenders we don't want shooting, even though Kyle Walker has been putting a lot more on target. Just want to put that out there. But you don't want Walker or Diaz shooting. You do want Josko shooting, right? And so you see it, you feel confident. Honestly, it took me back to the Arsenal goal against us by Calafiori, right? Like that it was a different type of strike, but just like that left defender coming up into that area and making something happen. It's the one place that if you set it up right, the defense can't get to. And they're always going to leave that hole because Haaland's occupying 2 people. So his presence alone is like Shaq getting doubled in the post. You're going to have an open shot, Rick Fox. You got to make that shot. Like Devin George, Robert Horry. This is for all my old school basketball fans. That 3 is going to be open. Make the 3. And so I'm happy that he could deliver because we needed it, right? It was a tough first half and it was nice to go into the break at the lead. But I mean, Crunk, let's just get to it, man. Let's get to, how they did us dirty yet again.
Yeah. In the second half, I was talking to shout out to Coming Home Newcastle. I was just talking about how Newcastle's energy changed from the first half to the second half. And I'm sure it's probably because of cards, but in the first half, they were very physical, being bullies, assertive, dominant, for better or for worse. In the second half, they became almost like miscreants. Like they were like poking the bear. They were trying to like trip you and then flop when you like, try to check them or whatever. It was very annoying. There were multiple flops, and that is what led to the penalty, whether you feel it was a penalty or not, which we will get to, because I even tweeted it. Barnes dropped the second he was touched. There was a moment where Barnes bumped in. I don't remember who it was, but he just fell, and then everyone was booing. He was like crumpled in a heap for a few seconds, but popped up when he realized he wasn't going to call, so he had to catch up. And Newcastle seemed to be inspired by Arsenal's performance last week. I even tweeted, actors, thespians, because they were on bullshit. It was very frustrating. And then, Tonali. And then all of a sudden, yes, the getaway. Anthony Gordon, good on him. He did what you're supposed to do to draw a penalty, get the keeper to commit, pull around them. The thing that annoys me is he got around the keeper. He could have scored. But he stopped a little bit. He manufactured the penalty. And I get why it was called. It didn't look good, but it was highly dramatic. A little of that Draco Malfoy dark magic. Shout out Slytherin. Yeah. How we feel. Who are we mad at? Do we even care? Like, what were your thoughts? Obviously we care, but like, what were your thoughts on this? Sharpie?
I mean, I care because I was trying to decide, like, when I watched the replays, like, wait, did Ederson hit him or did he go into Ederson? And I kept waiting for like a clear thing where like you see the goalkeeper's hand and it hits the foot. And it was like, no, it was a dive. And so I was, you feel like I'm being gaslit by the PGMOL because I'm like, wait, y'all don't see this? Nobody else sees this? Nobody in VAR? Nope, just okay. So after the match, it wasn't until I think Alan Shearer was like, nah, like that was a dive. Like he called it out. I'm like, if Shearer's calling it out, a Newcastle, legend, then I feel even more validated now that I'm not crazy. And it might not have been Alan Shearer, it was some former player, professional, whatever. But
I'm pretty sure it was Alan Shearer.
It was Shearer, right? Okay, just making sure. Yeah. So how did you feel, Terry?
Yeah, so I guess I try to look at it. If that would have been against us, would I have wanted that call? The answer is probably yes, right? So I can't be mad at them for wanting the call and getting the call. Do I think it's hard to tell if I think he has his left arm extended and his right hand maybe makes contact. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. You would hope that they have better replays that they can look at and rely on as opposed to us. I guess if it's that close, then you got to go with it. But it was disappointing for sure. The ball through through breaking the lines through the middle, Kyle keeping them on. There was a lot of things that kind of conspired to lead up to that. So that it was disappointing to see. I used to complain a couple seasons ago. I would complain about us not keeping a clean sheet, and then subsequently we have learned that from Sharpie that there's a Sharpie clean sheet. We're gonna give up a goal. It just is what it is. If we get 3 and they get 1, it doesn't matter. So I've kind of adopted that philosophy. The problem is we're not creating right now. So long story short, I was disappointed to see that penalty, but if it were against us, I would want it. So I can't have it both ways.
Totally agree with you, Tarek. And I feel like as much as I wanted that 1-0 lead to stay, I knew we needed a second goal. Like they're at home, they're pressing in the second half right there. They're going after it. Something's going to hit. And thusly, we needed one to fall. And it didn't for us. Now, I will say this. All my confidence is, are you beating us full strength? And I didn't see 47 on the pitch, and I didn't see 17 on the pitch for the starting the match. And so if you don't have your 2 of your top 3 offensive players, and a winger, right? A true pick a winger, 26 or 11, right? We don't have these people on the pitch. We're not giving you the best we can give you, and that's my thing. Is I think if we play Newcastle again in a reverse fixture, we're gonna smack them because we're going to be ready and we're going to go after it with a full steam ahead, at least one of Phil or Kevin on the pitch, and they open it up for everybody. So it sucked to have a draw because after that, Newcastle's going 5-4-1, 5-3-2. They're just trying to, hold their point, which is smart because that's what they want to do. So you take a draw before. Eddie Howe takes a draw against Pep every time. He loses them so much, the draw feels like a win, even at home. So I don't blame them for what they did. It's Arsenal 2.0. We got to call it the Arsenal now, the Arteta. And, they did their job. So I hate the result as much as like we could have gotten 3 points, but it's better than losing. Our streaks are still intact, still unbeaten in the Premier League. I'll take it. Invincibles.
Yes. If you're Anthony Gordon, how proud can you feel earning that penalty when Alan Shearer, he called it a dive? Like, you're Newcastle legend. He sounded disgusted when he was talking about it. It was wild when I saw that video. I was like, ooh, Alan Shearer was not happy about that match. And I was happy to take that draw like you. Just get the point, get out of here. Everyone's healthy. We are good.
If we would have had the conversation, and we probably did, or maybe I missed Thursday, I don't know. What would we have expected for this match? Of course, I would have called for a win, but because it's Newcastle, we know it's not an easy match, right? We've seen them come in and run roughshod. So getting a draw wouldn't have been the worst case scenario, right? My issue is that I feel like we got the draw and never put our best team on the pitch. Well, later on in the match. And I just feel like if we go out with Savio on the wing and all the other things that we talked about, not even saying KDB who's hurt or whatever, but I feel like we had an opportunity. So that's why the draw feels depressing to me, because I feel like it could have been better. It should have been more, or it could have been more at least. You take the point because you don't want to lose, right? You take the point and it is what it is and we move on. But I feel like we could have gotten all three.
Yeah, I just think, like, sadly, it's like in the NBA, they have schedule losses, and people look at your schedule where you got 4 games in 6 nights or 7 nights. Like, one of these is going to be a L, right? Like, just travel and whatever. And I just think, like, Pep never wants to lose. But if you had to say the choices are draw at Newcastle with the super control lineup and make sure we get 3 points going to wherever we play, Slovakia, I think, right? Like, you take the 3 points because that's just how that competition works. Like, you need it more. And so it's priorities. It's also just like the availability of the squad. Because if Foden's fully fit, I think we see more of him, right? If Kevin's good and his groin isn't like just being protected because we don't want it to re-aggravate, I think that changes the whole match. And then, of course, within the match, we didn't talk about it, but Haaland gets an Achilles injury, right? Like, he gets a stud on his ankle, Achilles area, and that clearly limits him. He stayed on the pitch, but, like, there's a lot of mitigating factors. But a point is better than a loss. I mean, we could be united, guys. Let's always embrace the brightness of our blue, because the other side of Manchester sucks, and that's how I stay happy.
And I played the pre-match Newcastle about Pep just being like, what, are we going to feel sorry for ourselves? No, we have to keep it moving. No Rodri, no problem. We move. Post-match, still so many questions. Gundo struggling. Rico, he doesn't have the height. You definitely struggled in the midfield. Rodri. Can we stop talking about Rodri?
You're going to ask me all the time. So, of course, you're going to miss Rodri. Physicality is present. I know it, but it's not there. So I'm judging what Kovacic, Enrico, and Bernardo after, and the wingers with Jack and Johan, how we have played. That was exceptional. So it's simple. I know that if we were well, because it's not Rodri. I had to find a solution. We're going to find a solution. I would love Rodri to be here, and Oscar Bob here, and Kevin be here, and not Kevin here. I would love it, but it's what it is.
It is what it is. Leave me alone. All right, Man City travel to Slovakia to face Slovan Bratislava at the Telhine Pol, or the National Football Stadium, or in Slovak, the Narodny Futbolowy Stadion. It holds 23,000 people. The 23-24 champions of the Slovak Superliga currently sit in first place with 7 wins and a loss. Bratislava lost to Celtic in UCL match day 1 to a score of 5-1. The Slovakian side played on Friday. They have a match against City on Tuesday. League match on Saturday. City, their own problems with facing Fulham on the weekend, which we'll get to in a moment. Who do you expect to see starting against Bratislava? How do you see the match going? And end with a score prediction.
I'm gonna go back to front. I think you obviously go Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Vardiol. I think we get a John Stones in midfield game. It just feels right for the moment. So I got a midfielder. I got a 2 of Stones and Bernardo. And then this is the hard part, right? We don't know Kevin or Foden's fitness. So I will leave that 10 spot empty for one of them. But on the wings, I think we do see Daku, Savio, and Holland up top. Like I said, we need the match. You got to put your best foot forward. I'm really hoping Foden can start like he did against Watford. And that sub was just like, just to keep him in rhythm. So hopefully Foden gets on. What you got, Terry? Oh, and I got a 3-1 win. 3-1 City.
Yeah, you know what? I have written down here 3-0 for a win for us. Celtic beat them 5-1 at home. We're going to playing them away. So it's maybe a slightly different travel and environment and all that kind of stuff. So, but at first I was going to call for a really heavily rotated squad. We should put them away easily. But the thing about this new Champions League format is we have to win and be in that top 8. But then when you start thinking about tiebreakers and goals scored and goals given up, whatever, it almost like you have to go and score to make sure that if it comes down to a tie break, we want to make sure we're on the good side of that. And so as much as I originally thought, we could, rotate quite heavily, I wouldn't be surprised if we go relatively full strength, especially seeing as it's a Tuesday, Saturday matchup. We still have plenty of time in between. So I'm going to say we go mostly full strength and then try to get up early and then, take players off and give them the rest that way, as opposed to trying to start with a rotated squad and then bringing people on if we need help to get over the line. But so I think we go full strength. I think it's probably, again, Kyle on the right, Kanji, Diaz, and Vardiol, Ederson. I think, like you said, hopefully Foden is able to play, because I think he needs minutes. I know he needs minutes, but hopefully he can get there. Kova. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think we probably play Kova and I guess you could put Rico in the midfield. You talked about John Stones. That's another good shout, because, again, I think you talked about the fact that we didn't have any height in that last match, right? If we play him in the midfield, he gives us what we lost from Rodri's physical presence as far as his size. So I think that's a good shout. I don't know if we'll see it or not, but hopefully we get to see that. But yeah, Doku and Savio and Holland. Yeah. My hope is we get appearances from the McAtees, the Nunez of the world, because that means that we got up early, we handled our business, and we were able to give people a chance. So my hope is that we see those folks.
Yeah. They have to play. They have to win. So like you said, that 8, it's the gamification of this new style of Champions League where, you can't just win the matches and go through by points. It is still by points, but it's like gamification, truly. More goals, goal difference. They've almost NCAA like coaches poll type of vibes. It's like awful.
I mean, ultimately, it's just like MLS to a certain extent, right? You don't play everybody. Everybody doesn't play the same lineup or the same schedule. The only difference MLS has, I think, like an East and a West. So, it's, whatever. But this is a case where we have technically one table, but you're not going to play the same lineup, and you're just hoping to, between the total points and everything else, it gets you over the line. But it's I hate it because the unbalanced schedule is just, to me, just totally unfair, because you're not playing the same schedule.
Yeah, I like it because every match has for me, it's more important. Every match has a different level of importance, because if you go to the old lineup, all you were trying to do on the road is like come out with a draw, right? Like, and of course there's still some of that there, but the incentive really is to get the win. Like, you can't have but so many draws in these 8 matches, because you're going to keep nobody in the big clubs wants to go into the playoff, right? You want to be in the top however many. So I think the jeopardy is there. We knew that inter match was going to be hard because they're just really good. But all the rest of these people we will play, like even when we get PSG, like we want to win these matches. I think it's like 15 points is the expectation, so that means at least 5 wins. If you get 5 wins, 3 draws, it's 18 unbeaten. I'll take it, right? So to get out of the playoff, I think like it's definitely, it feels different, and adjusting to things is weird. But it's a cool thing, and like they don't have to come back to that yet, right? We just move on to the next opponent. I think it adds something for managers, like, hey, I got this opponent, and that is it. So you just throw them into the schedule. The travel for players is going to happen, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's on the players to rotate. I mean, it's on the managers to rotate appropriately, and maybe you do have to make those tough decisions, but that's what they pay them the big bucks for.
Thankfully, their home kits are sky blue and dark blue. That means they will have to wear their actual away kits. They can't wear those Oasis kits that technically so far are bad luck for the men, but good luck for the women. I didn't say 3-1. I can't do it. We have to give away a goal. I hate it, but it's going to happen. Fulham. Shout out to Cottage Talk Podcast, who will be joining us Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central to talk Man City versus Fulham, live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Come through for a wonderful conversation with the most dope personality. Fulham come to Etihad, who sit 6th in the league after a hiccup week 1 loss to Manchester United 1-0. So, like, really? Come on now. Since then, though, the squad, three wins, 2 draws, did lose to Preston in the Carabao Cup in the extra time penalties. It went to 16 rounds before Preston managed to win. Angry, rested, and wanting to prove themselves. Do you see Fulham troubling City? Will Pep have figured out the Rodri-sized gap in the squad? Starting 11 predictions. How will the match play out? And give me a score prediction.
I'll run it up first. I'm looking at Fulham's recent opponents, and so yes, they are 6. They've played nobody. The Newcastle thing is like the only team they've played that's like, top of the table, I think. So top half of the table. So I think we scrap it. I think we get a 2-1. I do feel like, because there's an international break coming up, and we have, like Tarek mentioned, like it's Tuesday to Saturday, like that's a lot of time for us, right? It's not like that extra day, because we normally play on like a Wednesday sometimes. That's helpful. So I do think that we see Kevin back for this match. I think they still protect him for Champions League, so I'm seeing him coming back against Fulham to link up with Holland. I think you get Grealish back for this match. Savio hopefully can start on the wing 2 matches in a row, but if not, I'm okay with Bernardo. And then the back 5 or 6, it's just interchangeable, bro. Like I don't like Ake not being there obviously put pencils in Vardiol. But if you wanted to tell me Rico plays this match and Kyle doesn't, cool. If you want to tell me Kyle plays and Kova does, like I'll take any combination of the people. I think that front four really has my attention. So, but yeah, I do foresee us getting out 2-1, staying unbeaten, invincible season still here. What you got, Sarah?
Yeah, I think we win. At this point, you kind of gotta give a goal to the opposition at this point until we prove that we can keep clean sheets. So I'll go 3-1 us. To your point, they haven't really played anybody really good. Again, I don't know how they beat Newcastle 3-1. I'll have to go take a look at that, but I think we beat them 3-1.
2-1. It's going to be, they're a good squad. I just think subs are going to make a difference. That's when we pull away. Or at least hold on to the win. I don't know. Maybe similar to the Watford match. We handled things, seemed to find a third, and Watford scores one.
I'm gonna put a big shot in for Nunes. I think he's going to be a key sub in this match because Fulham won't, like Marco Silva doesn't sit back in a 5-4-1, so there will be space on the pitch. So I see him coming in 65th, 70th minute and just adding another element to help us like close it out. So that's my one shot for the weekend.
If as I expect, we got Savio out there on that right wing, seeing him matched up with my cousin Anthony Robinson, seeing that matchup will be interesting because Robinson likes to get forward. Anthony likes to get forward. And if you do, that's going to potentially leave space in behind. So he's going to have to be disciplined to kind of, focus on those defensive responsibilities, tracking back, so on and so forth. I think he's a really good player. Fits in well at Fulham. We'll just have to see what he does if that matchup materializes.
Yeah. Whew. Tough teams. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's turn that down. Chuck all and applause. I think I really ain't got nothing. I'm sad about Girona. I was hopeful. I knew there was no way they were going to repeat the season they did last year. Of course. They lost a lot of key components, players, obviously Savio, Dovbik. It was going to be tough for them to do what they did last year, but they can't seem to hold the lead. They're just getting smacked by everybody, and it's unfortunate. But I'm hopeful. You're still part of the family, the football group. Keep doing your thing. You're one of the few red teams that I like seeing play. Good job, y'all. Who's next?
I'm gonna say the same thing I've said every week so far this year, giving props to Vinny Company and Bayern Munich. They are, I think, 4-0-1, I think is how you say it. One draw. They matched up against the reigning Bundesliga champions in Bayer Leverkusen, and effectively dominated them. 69% possession versus 31. Expected goals of 1.38 versus 0.06. 18 total shots to 3 shots on target, one big chance missed. The key for Vinny was to see, can he manage at the top level, right? He got the job. No one really gave him credit for his, they didn't think he should have. I don't think they earned it necessarily. They don't think he should have had it, but he got it. And this was a chance to show that he can manage against top managers and he can be just as tactical as Xabi Alonso, which is everyone's choice for that next up and coming manager. And so, again, as one who says that Vinny is always going to be my captain, my forever captain, it is good to see him excelling or continuing to excel, his team doing well. And Vinny Company to Man City manager is still on for some point in the future. So we'll see.
For me, I got two clubs I want to shout out. Everton got a win over Palace, and that was very surprising. Dwight McNeil brace, they won 2-1. So I believe now they are officially out of the relegation zone. They are at 16th, a full, a point above 8. Wait, they have a -8 goal differential, but they have 1 more point. So they're safe for now. But I was really happy with Spurs, like embarrassing Man United at Old Trafford. Now, I do not agree with that red card on Bruno. I thought it was harsh. The slip definitely impacted it. Like, if anything, it's a yellow, but to have a straight red, that was harsh. Now, before that, was Man U doing anything to make you feel like they had a chance? No. So both things can be true at the same time. But we saw what happens. Like, there are some clubs that can hold can fight back and hold a lead, or keep it close. United just gave it away. They gave it up easy. I think they scored within the first 10 minutes of the second half, and then put it away with a third in like the 77th minute. So tidy 3-0 win by Ange. I'm rooting for Ange. That's my mate. They are my favorite team in London, because I'm damn sure not rooting for Arsenal to do anything well, or Chelsea. Fuck them. So yeah, so go Spurs. Keep beating those other people for us. Thank you so much.
Up to them.
You know what? There was a point earlier in this season, I don't know which episode it was, but we did our preseason predictions, and I said something to the effect of that I thought Chelsea had a chance at potentially getting top 4, because I just didn't think they could continue to play as poorly as they have with all the players that they have. They have talent. It just has to just come together, and it's just a matter of time. They seem to be gelling right now. Big ups to Enzo Maresca.
Crazy. Cole had 4 in the first half.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which again keeps the conversation about whether we should have let him go or not, just keeps that thing going. It's always going to be there. I think the reality is we will look back and say, you know what? Yeah, we should have kept him. Much like Chelsea looks back and says, you know what? We should have kept Kevin De Bruyne. There's no denying that. He's a great player. He's doing well. He's performing well. But it was the right choice in that moment, I suppose, even as much as I didn't want it to happen. It was probably the right thing for both parties, and is allowed Cole to flourish like he has. I don't think he gets, or he's doing what he's doing, if he doesn't move away. So big ups to him. I think speaking of academy players, I think or former academy players, what's Delap, yeah. Is it 2 goals for Ipswich? So
yeah, that was big. So back-to-back home, youngest player to do it for the club. Back-to-back home Premier League games. So it's nice to see City sprinkled out, all throughout the Premier League. So we do.
Welcome, everybody. Baby Blue Baddies. Okay, so they had 2 matches this last week. Paris FC and Brighton. For Paris FC, this was the second leg. They already had a 5-1 lead from the first match. All they had to do is just not give up 5 more goals than they would score in this match, which, at home should be an easy thing to do. I thought he would put out a relatively not strong side, but I thought he'd test out some players and let them try, which they did. They eventually did play. He did use all 5 subs. Starting lineup was Yamashita for keeper, Wahhabi, Greenwood, Alexandri, Kasperize, Medina, Hasegawa Park, Hemp, Fowler, and Fujino. 5-0, easy win, honestly. Medina scored just a wonder goal. She's amazing. Jess Park with 2 goals of her own. Fowler, Chloe Kelly got one from just playing hard. I love it. The press. Subs. I'm trying to think of everything. I have some sound bites I actually want to play because he has one about Keaton that I was just like, oh, okay. Laura Coombs, Chloe Kelly, Alana Kennedy, Blinky, Blinkelda Brown, and Lily Murphy were all subs. One of the things he did say about Lily Murphy, she's a winger, but she can play all 3. I've talked about her before, but Gaz talked about her for a good 45 seconds. He was just like, I truly think she's just a raw diamond that once she figures things out, her speed is insane. He thinks that she is the fastest player on the team, if not the fastest, one of the fastest players on the team. And so she just needs to work on the finishing. That's what he said she's been working on, but thinks that she could be something amazing. He was asked about his coaching staff because we've mentioned he's had a change in the staff. So this is what he had to say about his 2 new assistant, 2 members of his staff, Diego, who is the new goalkeeping coach, and Chad, who is the assistant coach.
Yeah, I feel they've really helped a lot. I think sometimes it's always important to freshen things up. And I think that naturally that can happen in many ways. We're still looking to bring in another first-team coach, which is going to help us even more and certainly help Chad. But the impact that he's had so far I think has been excellent. I think he's an excellent young coach who's had various experiences at different levels. And I think the way he's adapted to coaching women's football has been super impressive from me. And it's just really allowed me to be able to focus my energy in the right areas. Whereas previously I was probably doing a little bit too much. But he's very good at coaching. He's very good at delivering on pitch. He's very good at delivering off pitch in the meetings. His messages are clear. He creates a really safe environment for the girls to feel that they can be themselves and feel that they can raise issues and ask questions, which I think is really important because ultimately they're the guys that have to go out and deliver, and we try to support them as much as we can. And yeah, Diego coming in has been great. He's obviously a bit of a challenge for him, obviously having a Japanese goalkeeper in Yama. So we said we're not going to make it easy for him, but he's been great. You know, he's had previous experiences of working at Bay, the Bay franchise, and working at Washington DC with Wayne Rooney when he was there. So he's got various experiences. Also worked and working still with Welsh international women's.
And then my ears perked up when a question about Kiara Keaton was asked. What does Yamashida's arrival mean to Keaton?
It leaves Kiara in really high regard. You know, we really feel highly about Kiara. She's a really talented young goalkeeper. I think naturally with this high volume of games that we're encountering and hopefully going to encounter, certainly in the lead up to Christmas, is that there will be rotations within the outfield team. Goalkeepers is slightly different, maybe not as much movement, but we know that whenever we turn to Kiara, she's going to be ready. She's training really well. Her attitude has been top, and I think there's really good competition in there now with the goalkeepers, which is what we wanted. And we really wanted to focus on that area in the summer. We felt that Yama was the goalkeeper that we could bring in to really help the team and help challenge Kiara also. And so far it's been that.
I discussed the preseason games earlier this season. And my hot take, my honesty was Yamashita was taking Keating's spot. It's just how it felt. and how it looked from the way that both players were playing. She was the hot hand, but from what it sounds like, he's now just being like, look, we got to give Keating some time. And it's interesting because she goes from the third person one year to the starting keeper, arguably the keeper of the season, to now she's out here grinding against Yamashita.
I think it's much more like a 1A, 1B situation versus on the men's side when Ederson is the clear number one and Ortega's D2, right? Like, we know the hierarchy. I think if we look at this at the end of the season, the numbers will somehow balance themselves out. Like, I don't think Kiara did anything wrong or like lost her space. It's just like, hey, this other keeper came in, Kiara was injured, right? So like everything is like this perfect storm. And then, like he said, we'll get her back. Like, we're gonna have enough matches. That's the goal. We want to be in every competition. We want to go far in every competition. So you'll see her out there. And I love it. I love having depth in every position, right? You shouldn't just have one keeper you trust. Remember on the men's side, we had those years where it was like, all right, once Ederson goes out, good luck, guys. Hope we win. Now it's like, no, like on the women's side, every single match we have a top player at their position, and that's all you can want. Oh, and I want to also comment. I love what Gareth said about basically. Damn, I had the word where you give away responsibility. What's that?
Delegation.
Delegation. Yes. That's important. That's a leadership thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can acknowledge that and say, hey, I was doing too much, I need other people to help me. Even the way he like positions himself, right? Like, there is a reason why he's higher up and like he wants to see the angles in the pitch. So it's really cool to like hear somebody grow into their role, and he has gotten better year after year since we've been doing this pod. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm going to forget, it's a really shame that when Barca comes to Champions League, they aren't going to be at the Etihad. Like, that first match is at Joy Stadium on October 9th. There's no men's match happening. I think part of it is the scheduling, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, no, you could sell tickets, sell them for five quid, whatever. Like, the women deserve to play that opening Champions League match at the Etihad. And that's really fucked up, because Arsenal women, the rest of their matches the rest of the year at the Emirates. So they figured it out. So it's definitely doable. So I really want better for the women.
Yeah. And on that whole like scheduling, people can kind of whine and complain because there already are some changes. Like, Chelsea have to play Real Madrid, and now they have to move some scheduling around because the FA didn't take into account the Champions League. But they have already come out and said, hey, our schedule has been announced for over a year. If you guys hoped your teams were going to make it, if you anticipated your teams to make it, you could have made these adjustments. And it's same thing on the men's side. It's what Pep has been complaining about for years. So they don't care about the other competitions. It's them and them only. And Gareth actually agreed with me when it came to Barca.
I think it's a good draw. I really do. I think it's once we were kind of obviously through the qualification process and really pleased with how the team's performed in 2 games against a tough Paris team. We once the explanation of the draw and the pots and where it was, because up until that point we were so focused on qualifying that we probably weren't trying to look at that too much. So I think it's once we realised that we knew that we were going to have one of the teams that have already qualified being in there, then it was a case of who else are we going to get from pot 3 and pot 4. So yeah, I have to say, really happy with it. I think it's great to play Barcelona. I think it's a real good challenge for us and one to be really excited about.
He said it's an exciting chance to see where they stand amongst the world's best. That's exactly what I feel. I think we could play them, and as long as we, if we lose one, draw one, we smack them other teams around, we can still make it into the next round. I think with the match at home, since it is, in 2 weeks, they have a lot of adjustments to make, because in this match against Brighton, which I will get to, starting 11 of Yamashita, Lazel getting.
Well, hold on. Before you jump into the new, let me just piggyback on what Charlie was saying, because I didn't realize this. Our last men's match, I believe, is October the 5th. That's Saturday, and then we don't play again until Sunday, October 20th. The women's Champions League match against Barcelona is that Wednesday, the 9th, I think, of October. There's no reason that we shouldn't be playing there. That again, you make it cheap enough that people come out and want to be a part. You grow the women's side. That is again, I didn't know this until you pointed it out. So that's probably shame on me for not seeing this ahead of time, but that's really disappointing that we didn't have enough foresight to say, you know what, or even to be able to adjust and say, we're going to play this here. Now, I guess I should look and see if you have anything that Wednesday. I don't think so, because it's probably international break at that point. But I know they try to avoid doing two things in the city as far as the police are concerned or whatever. So maybe there's something else that prevents it. But absent something else that prevents it, that's a disappointing choice by leadership to not put them on the biggest stage, being the head. Yeah. And giving them that opportunity. So I'm disappointed in that.
And there's actually 4 games that City women will play. I mean, not all of them are at home, but there are 4 games during the men's international break because of all the Champions League and league games that they're going to be playing. There are multiple opportunities for them to play.
Sure. And I guess I can't sit here and say, well, every time they suit up, it should be at the head, right? But the Champions League against Barcelona, that screams out for, I need a bigger venue. It just screams out for a bigger venue, more opportunities to introduce young kids, their parents, men, women, whoever that maybe don't go on the women's side. There's no men's matches to pay attention to. This is the perfect opportunity to increase the audience. And that's, like I said, it's just a little disappointing choice. To your point, we play Liverpool on the 13th, that Sunday. That's another big match that could potentially have been at the Etihad, but hopefully we will address that in the future.
Yes. We mentioned the UCL draw in their Group D.
Hold on, sorry, my bad. That Liverpool match is at Liverpool, so it couldn't be that. It's at Liverpool.
Yeah, no worries. Group D in the UWCL, it's Barcelona, Hammarby, Julie Blackstad, Man City, and St. Polten. But the match against Brighton, it was a 1-0 win. Ugh, very annoying. Yamashita as the keeper. Lazel getting the start for the injured Wahhabi. Alexandri Greenwood are the center back duo. Kasper Eyes as left back. Midfield trio Hasegawa, Jess Park, and Miedema. And up top we had Lauren Hemp, Khadijah Shaw, and Fujino. The team was very unbalanced, like crazy unbalanced. And it was because Lazel and Fujino both are new. Lazel's very new. Fujino's at least played a few like full speed competition games. Gareth acknowledged that Fujino is kind of struggling with her confidence, and that was his thought of giving her a start. But it's like CK should have been in this match. And also, why isn't she getting these starts? What's going on? This was her 100th appearance, and she did not play. But that's crazy.
It's baffling because it's different when it's like a Mary Fowler, right, who's hot at the end of a season. You understand. Even if you put Mary Fowler on now, okay, well, she has form, whatever. She's returning. To put a brand new player in that position when you have a fully fit Chloe Kelly, and I'm not gonna lie, lady, this is not biased. It's whatever. I would say the same thing on the men's side. Fujino's not delivering. Like no, it's every time, just about 8 times out of 10, the play breaks down. It gets to her. Like either the pass is too bad, the movement's off because there's a lack of familiarity, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas it's like when Chloe Kelly's on the pitch, her and him can swap wings. Mm-hmm. You got the setups with Bunny. You got the overlap partnership that she might have with Kasper or whatever. So like there's just a lot more there. And so I hope now that we're getting into these bigger matches, like I would be shocked if Fujino starts any of these next few matches. Because just at this moment, not for the future, not calling her off for the her whole career here, but just right now she's not up to the standard of that front line. It's a bad moment.
Yeah, she'll get it figured out. And same thing with Lazelle. They just are learning and they're pressing. They were trying to make something happen, and that's just not how you make it happen. Gareth even tried the swapping. He had Fujino and Hemp swap, and it didn't work. He had them quickly go back because Hemp started struggling, and because she would get it back, and then Lazelle would lose the ball, or they would swing it over to Aoba, and then she would lose the ball. So at least the left was strong, and that's where the one goal came from, was strictly from the left side. It was like left and left only. They'll get it figured out. Medina was sorry, Sharpie.
Oh no, keep going. I'll jump in.
Cool. I was just gonna say Medina came off for Jill Roard. We got to see her. Mary Fowler came on when Shaw came off. Shaw, visibly frustrated, crying, seems to have picked up another injury of sorts. I'm very interested in the latest with that.
It looked like she went to hit the ball and like her nose or something, like a mouth hit the player's shoulder. Because she was like grabbing at her face. So hopefully it's something that, isn't too bad. I will say Jill in that 10 shirt is beautiful. I didn't know about it. I knew that the 20 was gone. I just didn't know what number she had. So seeing her as a 10 is dope because she is a 10. But our last, I called it on Twitter. I didn't say the final third. It's the final fifth. That last goddamn 18 yards, it was horrible, bro. They laid it all out there. Brighton defended their asses off. We had a 4-on-1 break. The passes were off. There was one really good chance that Jess Park got where she the keeper made a great run out, and the commentator said that, but it was also like, come on, girl, you got to get this around this keeper. You got to finish this. So again, hope these are early season kinks before we get up to full strength, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm scared of Barca. So I hope
and Chelsea that they put up.
Shit's about to get real. They are not here to be fucked with, bro. Putellas is back to full health. Bamonti's the best player in the world. Even after losing people, they still don't stop. They keep fucking going. Is this gonna be the return match for Walsh? I believe, right?
Yes.
This is Kira's Walsh return. That'll be interesting. So Lucy already left, so went back to Chelsea. So it's gonna be something in October. I'm rooting for the girls though, rooting for the ladies. Go baby blue baddies.
Go baby blue baddies. And so this weekend is against West Ham. They are struggling this season. They are basically going to be battling against Everton and Crystal Palace in relegation station. City should win this easily. I'm thinking 4-0.
I was about to say, this is the match where we get it busy. I'm going to go 3-0, a good 3-0 though. 3-0, bunch of big chances. XG should be over 4 for sure.
Perfect. All right, let's get out of here, my show bros. Please let listeners, viewers know where they can find you. Tarek, let's start with you.
At Tarek Peterson on Threads, on Twitter. At Tarek Peterson, TarikPeterson, at Tarek Peterson on Threads and Twitter.
Let's go.
You can find me at Sharpie Charlie on Twitter. If you're in America, we are now approaching Tuesday, October 1st, makes 5 weeks until the election. Please go use your rights. Go vote forever you choose. Just be a part of the process. Nobody likes a complainer. As Barack Obama said, don't boo, vote. Also very excited for this week. Your boy's turning 34 on Thursday.
Hey, let's go.
Celebrate. I'll be a little late to the lit stream, but I'll pull up.
Understandable. You enjoy yourself. And follow.
Hey, hold on real quick. Just to piggyback on, Charlie was talking about voting. Prayers and, best wishes or whatever you want to say for those people affected by the hurricane, right? The Floridas, up in the Asheville, North Carolinas, wherever you might have been, wherever you are. I know I had to check. We checked in with Lando, lost power or whatever, but there's a lot of people who are affected by that, and so definitely don't take that for granted. And so prayers for all of those folks too.
Yeah, man. Follow the pod on any social media apps that you have, and if we're on it, you can find us at Shades of Blue NW, at Shades of Blue NW. Let's see, what do we got going on this week? We got, like I said, Wednesday night Breaking Bread with Cottage Talk. We have our Thursday night lit stream, then kickoff shows for City Women or City Men, Fulham, 8 a.m. and then 6:30 a.m. bright and early. We're gonna be talking City Women versus West Ham. You know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.